Good afternoon. My name is Corey Parrish, and I'd like to welcome you to my presentation analyzing how politicians use the agenda setting and framing communication theories to their advantage as they strive to frame the narrative and control the media. Have you ever heard of the phrase, "It's not what you say, but how you say it"? To be an effective politician, you must know and understand this phrase and its meaning. It is imperative that politicians know how to communicate efficiently and effectively and fully understand communication theory and how to incorporate this into their strategic communication and agenda. Here's a brief overview of the content we will be discussing today, including framing and agenda setting, politicians, and the media, as well as communication theories in action. I'd like to start by highlighting a quote that I found in a New Yorker magazine interview with Jeffrey Toobin from 2014 with Republican Senator Ted Cruz. He says, "In both law and politics, I think the essential battle is the meta battle of framing the narrative." Did you know that politicians use framing and agenda setting to control the media? This presentation will take a closer look at both theories and discover how politicians use them to gain power over rivals, the media, and the public. In this section, I'll explain both mass communication theories in detail and outline their effects. Littlejohn and Foss, 2009b, says framing theory aims to identify schemes in which individuals perceive the world. In that sense, framing is the process of carefully constructing a message to achieve a deliberate effect on the receiver. Framing in the media works by focusing attention on certain events and then places them within a field of meaning, and they can be used to influence choices people make about how to consume that topic. The meaning of news can be altered by only changing a word or two. Littlejohn and Foss, 2009a, says agenda setting theory explains the relationship between the emphasis that mass media places on issues and the importance that media audiences attribute to those issues. Basically, it describes how the media tries to influence its viewers and decides which topics are the most important. Agenda setting theory is the most popular theory in mass communication. These priorities are often set according to how people think and what kind of influence it could have with the audience. To sum it up in its most simplest terms, agenda setting tells viewers what to think about, and framing tells them how to think it. Next up, we're going to discuss how politicians use the media to further their objectives. Politics in the American media system have undergone a large transformation since before the early to mid-1980s. In today's day of mass media, there are many forms of digital communication tools that politicians rely on to promote their agendas. These include news, blogs, social media, open forums, and podcasts, to name a few. Most politicians' motivations are to gain more votes than they lose. For this to happen, they need to supply voters with messaging that provides them a significant benefit. Politicians are using new media to their advantage as they no longer must worry about the traditional agenda setters to prioritize their message. This allows them to go straight to their constituents as their own agenda setters. The emergence of Twitter has also allowed politicians to rule by tweet and has enabled instant communication between politicians, citizens, and the press. Next, I will examine recent examples of framing and agenda setting in modern politics. Donald Trump was a master at this and often promoted conservative media with praise and media appearance frames, mentions, and retweets, while denigrating non-conservative and general media via attacks and bias frames. Another recent example of politicians using framing and agenda setting in the media was with the Inflation Reduction Act. Both parties, Democrats and Republicans, worked hard to frame new media with the intention of getting voters and fellow politicians to support them in their attempts either for or against the act. Democrats attempted to convince voters that the law is all about lowering inflation, while Republicans attempted to persuade voters that the new law is really about funding IRS harassment of honest families. As you can see, framing and agenda setting are powerful mass communication theories. As new media continues to evolve, so will a new media information battle. In this presentation, we discuss framing and agenda setting and their definitions. We talked about how politicians use new media to garner support for their agendas, and we went over specific examples of recent uses of framing and agenda setting. I'd really like to thank you for watching my presentation today. If you have any questions, my contact info is on the screen. If anybody has any questions, reach out. Thank you.